It's a lifelong passion, Con. I promise you. I grew up motorcycles, cars, music. Three things that I grew up in, and I'm blessed enough to be able to continue to do all three of those things and pay the bills with it.
He was the man with the bandana, the sunglasses, and the biggest heart in Las Vegas. Danny the Count Koker, the face of counting cars, built an empire from scratch, transforming forgotten rust buckets into gleaming, roaring masterpieces. He was living the dream, surrounded by music, motorcycles, and the rarest cars in the world. But behind the shiny chrome and rock and roll attitude, Danny's life has been marked by loss, pain, and heartbreak few people know about. From family tragedies to crippling financial struggles and the heavy toll that fame brought crashing down on him, the man known for his big smile has faced more than his fair share of darkness. And today, fans are beginning to wonder, after everything Danny's been through, is the Count finally out of luck? Before the fame. Long before he was a TV icon, Danny Koker was just a kid from a musical family. Born in Cleveland, Ohio in 1964, Danny grew up surrounded by rhythm, creativity, and engines. His father, Daniel Koker Sr., was a musician and composer who performed with the likes of the Cathedral Quartet. The family's deep love for gospel and rock music shaped Danny's early years. But so did something else, an obsession with cars. By the time he was a teenager, Danny was already buying and fixing up vehicles, turning what most people saw as junk into works of art. He had a vision, one that combined speed, soul, and style. When his family moved to Las Vegas, that vision came alive. In the early 1980s, Danny opened Count's Customs, a small one-man operation specializing in custom restorations. At first, it was just another garage in the desert. But Danny had something others didn't, a personality big enough to turn wrenches and turn heads. His bold style caught the attention of local media, and soon he was hosting car segments on local TV. He even appeared on Pawn Stars, where his charisma and knowledge of vehicles quickly stole the show. By 2012, the History Channel gave him his own series, Counting Cars. The show exploded in popularity. Millions tuned in to watch Danny and his team bring forgotten classics back to life. It looked like everything he'd ever wanted had finally come true. But behind the roaring engines and flashing lights, Danny was already facing heartbreak that would change him forever. Because before Counting Cars made him a household name, tragedy struck close to home. Losing his father and mentor. Danny Koker Sr. wasn't just Danny's dad. He was his hero, his teacher, and his greatest inspiration. The elder Koker was a talented musician and the owner of Las Vegas' famous Channel 33, where Danny first got his start on television. Together, they shared a deep bond, built on faith, music, and an unshakable belief that anything was possible if you worked hard enough. But in 2008, Danny's world fell apart. His father passed away, leaving behind not just a legacy of creativity, but a massive hole in Danny's heart. Those who knew Danny say his father's death changed him. He became quieter, more focused, pouring his grief into his work at Count's Customs. Every car he restored, every engine he built, carried a piece of his father's memory. Danny later admitted that much of what drives him today, his perfectionism, his loyalty, his passion, all come from the lessons his dad taught him. But even as his business grew and Counting Cars became a hit, that loss never truly healed. And it wouldn't be the last time tragedy came knocking, because not long after, Danny would face challenges that threatened not just his heart, but his entire livelihood. Fame, fortune, and the heavy cost of success. When Counting Cars first hit the airwaves in 2012, Danny Koker became an overnight star. Fans loved his mix of rock star swagger and blue-collar grit. His shop became one of the most recognizable garages in America, and Count's Customs went from a small business to a global brand. But fame is a double-edged sword. With recognition came constant pressure. The production schedules were brutal, the projects relentless, and the expectations sky-high. Danny wasn't just fixing cars anymore, he was running a television empire. Behind the scenes, the stress began to mount. Crew members came and went, disputes arose, and the financial burden of maintaining perfection started to weigh heavily on Danny's shoulders. The same passion that made him successful was now consuming him. And then came the lawsuits. In 2014, a former employee sued Count's Customs for alleged unpaid wages and wrongful termination. Later, Danny's business manager was accused of embezzling hundreds of thousands of dollars, money meant to keep the shop running. The betrayal cut deep. Danny had always treated his employees like family, and to be taken advantage of by people he trusted was a wound that never fully healed. For a man who prided himself on loyalty and integrity, it was devastating. The stress nearly broke him, and fans began to notice a change. Danny's once carefree demeanor grew more serious, his appearances more infrequent. Was the king of cars finally running out of gas? Or was he just fighting a battle we couldn't see? The loss of friends and family. Tragedy seemed to follow Danny like a shadow. In the years after his father's death, he also lost several close friends and mentors from both the car and music industries, people who had been with him since his early days in Las Vegas. But perhaps the hardest blow came when one of his longtime employees and close friends, Kevin Mack, faced health struggles that forced him to step away from the business temporarily. For fans, Kevin and Danny were inseparable, a comedic duo who balanced each other perfectly. Without Kevin, counting cars didn't feel the same. Behind the scenes, Danny was dealing with the pain of watching those closest to him fade from his life, one by one. He continued to pour his heart into his work, often saying that his cars were like people. Everyone has a story. But what he didn't often share was how much those cars became his escape from grief. Every restoration, every project was a way to keep moving forward, to distract himself from the heartbreak he carried. But pain has a way of catching up to even the strongest souls. And soon, Danny would face a new kind of struggle, one that had nothing to do with loss, but everything to do with the weight of success. The breaking point, burnout, and the toll of fame. To the world, Danny Koker was unstoppable, a man who lived life on his own terms, surrounded by roaring engines, leather jackets, and rock and roll. But even legends break down sometimes. After years of filming, managing his shop, performing with his band, and running several Las Vegas businesses, including Count's Vamped Rock Bar and Grill, the pressure became overwhelming. For a man who once thrived on constant motion, Danny began to feel trapped by it. People close to him noticed the change, the long hours, the exhaustion, and the way he'd push himself to keep smiling for the cameras even when he was clearly drained. Counting cars had given Danny the success he'd always dreamed of, but it also came with something he never asked for: a loss of privacy. Fans followed him everywhere. Tourists crowded outside Count's Customs, hoping for a photo or autograph. He was no longer just a mechanic or a musician. He was a brand. And when you live life as a brand, it's hard to just be human. Danny once said in an interview that running the business while filming the show felt like juggling chainsaws. Every decision carried weight. Every mistake could be magnified on screen. And worst of all, the business that used to bring him joy started feeling like an obligation. There were whispers that Danny was thinking about walking away from television altogether, that he wanted to go back to his roots, working on cars quietly, without the constant spotlight. But for someone who built his identity around being seen, could he really step away from it all? That question lingered for years, as Danny slowly began pulling back from the public eye. Fans began to notice fewer appearances, fewer interviews, and long stretches where he seemed to vanish from social media. Some feared the worst. Others believed he was simply burned out, tired of fame, tired of pressure, and tired of pretending everything was okay. Because even though Danny Koker seemed to have it all, the reality was much darker. Behind the laughter, the cars, and the cameras, he was battling something much heavier than most fans realized. Rumors, health scares, and the fight to move forward. In recent years, fans began to notice more than just Danny's absence. They noticed how different he looked when he did appear. He seemed thinner, quieter, and more reflective. The ever-present grin was still there, but behind it, something had changed. Rumors began to swirl that Danny was facing health issues, though he never confirmed anything publicly. Some speculated that years of stress, lack of sleep, and the relentless Las Vegas lifestyle had finally caught up to him. Others believed the toll of losing so many close friends and family members over the years had simply worn him down emotionally. Danny, true to form, stayed private. He wasn't one to air his struggles for sympathy. Instead, he quietly stepped back, letting others take more of the spotlight. But even during his hardest times, Danny's resilience never faded completely. He continued running Counts Customs, mentoring younger mechanics, and working on special projects that reminded him why he fell in love with cars in the first place. And whenever fans did see him, they described the same thing: a man who, despite everything, still had that spark. Music also remained a refuge for him. His band, Counts 77, became more than just a side project. It became therapy. On stage, surrounded by friends and fans, Danny found a way to express the emotions he couldn't put into words. In one rare candid interview, he admitted that life had thrown him some curves, but he still felt blessed to wake up every day doing what he loved. That humility, that quiet strength, is what separates Danny from so many other TV personalities. He's not a Hollywood celebrity. He's a working man who's seen both the beauty and brutality of life, and somehow keeps moving forward. But as Danny turns 60, fans can't help but wonder, what's next for him? Will he ever return to TV full-time? Or has he finally decided that fame isn't worth the pain it caused? One thing's for sure. The road behind him is filled with heartbreak and lessons, but the journey isn't over yet. Because Danny the Count Koker has never been one to give up easily. And as fans are about to find out, even in tragedy, there's still hope. When we think of Danny Koker, we remember the sunglasses, the bandana, the roar of classic engines echoing through Las Vegas. But beneath all that, there's a man who's fought, and keeps fighting, for peace in a world that rarely gives it. His story isn't just about cars. It's about pain, perseverance, and purpose. It's about what happens when the spotlight fades, and all that's left is who you really are. For Danny, that's someone who never gave up, even when life gave him every reason to. So the next time you see a gleaming restored muscle car or hear a roaring Harley down the Vegas Strip, think of the Count. Think of the man who turned heartbreak into horsepower, who took every hit and still found a way to keep driving forward. Because in the end, Danny Koker's greatest creation isn't a car. It's his story. A story of loss, redemption, and relentless drive. If this story moved you, make sure to like this video, share it, and subscribe for more untold stories of the legends who shaped our world. One engine, one dream, and one heartbreak at a time.